Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for this upload titled Surprise Me, Message to Your Divinity. What I am aiming to do through the process I'm going to describe to you later is to either enhance the natural, intimate relationship between the two aspects of yourself, or to forge this relationship if these ideas are new to you. No matter who we are or what we do, these two distinct aspects of self need to work in concert for best results. And that's the concept I'd like you to seize and to act upon. We know one aspect of self, which is our human self, and we recognize our human self in various ways. But do we know and recognize our dimensionally greater self quite as well? Do we know its form, its thoughts, its likes and dislikes, its ambitions, what it enjoys, what amuses it, what challenges it faces, what satisfies or dissatisfies it? Do we know what its business is or how it occupies its time? And do we really know who it is we're talking to when we ask for extraordinary things to be done in our lives? Well, these are the contemplations that occupy my mind, and it's the exploration and examination of questions like this et similis that has produced powerful transformations in my own life, because, as we know, questions like these always produce answers. And so, based on personal knowing and experience, I can attest to the fact that an active relationship between our human and dimensionally greater selves or aspects, that's to say our beings of consciousness and our organic physicalities, is the answer to all of our questions, the resolution of all of our issues, and the unfailing fulfillment of all of our ambitions. You may notice immediate changes in your human self as you focus on this greatest and most special of all relationships. In me, it was a noticeable shift in confidence. That's to say, where none existed, a great volume suddenly sprung up. Confidence in my day-to-day contacts, in attaining things, and in many other ways. So when you begin to notice changes in yourself as a direct result of exploring this relationship between your two aspects, claim them at once to be what they are, evidence of the reality of this relationship. Our dimensionally greater aspect of self is an emanation of God, who is our source origin. But getting our heads around that and making full use of this information isn't easy on the human level until we're able to give this idea some context. Once we do, we can start to test in practical terms what this means for us. All of the exercises I share on my YouTube channel are crafted to start the ball rolling, but the aim is that once the ball has well and truly started rolling, it's all about you and God. You won't need any third-party assistance in doing what you have been mandated to do. You won't need any courses or gurus or leaders. You'll be operating in your own full and infinite power, and nothing, absolutely nothing, compares to getting what you need directly from the source. And if you haven't thought about this sort of thing in the context of your own life, let me encourage you to do so. No one knows more than you do or has any ability that you don't have. Never look at another person as particularly important. Never see a superior. See only God, yourself, and the Elohim, so that as you are impressed to play your part, you will say yes. So on to the exercise. If I asked if you really knew your dimensionally greater aspect and you said no, then the exercise in this upload makes a lovely starting point. And if the answer is yes, then the exercise will be for you a very good opportunity to learn more about your dimensionally greater self. The objective of this exercise is to help us to feel confident that when we as human beings pray through emotive psychological activity, we are certain of an outcome because we know that we are the ones answering those prayers and making things happen. We are droplets of God, made up of infinite creative potential, beings of love, free of judgment and limitation of any kind, capable of anything. The term surprise me is an invocation that connotes confidence, perfect trust, tractability, and consent. So let's lay a foundation for the exercise and then turn to the practical steps. The stem of this piece is found, as always, in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 22, which addresses the unity of our two aspects, symbolized by the singularity of the eye. The verse says, "The light of the body is the eye. If your eye is single, the whole body is full of light. So if your eye, which is your understanding, or in contemporary language, your self-concept, or your human psychological makeup, aligns with that of, or is a faithful outprint of your dimensionally greater self, your body, and remember, body means earth, so your earth, your world, will be full of light or full of God." And there are 2 lectures by Neville Goddard that I encourage you to read when you have a chance that support what we're sharing here. And these are God is Light, 1967, and The Light of the World, 1969, which are both available online. It is worth thinking about what your life being filled by or governed by God looks like, but some of the features of that may include complete emotional stability, which is the foundation of all success, total freedom from fear, and the unlimited authority to determine the nature and quality of your human contacts and the experience and quality of your environment, and much more besides. But I've mentioned these things here to help make the idea of a God-filled life less nebulous. And do note that we only need to bring our human selves into alignment with our dimensionally greater selves to prove to ourselves that all of this is true. And one of the beautiful things about this process of aligning is that things start to fall into place at once. All the goodies that we want show up, and so-called miracles start to happen. And not because of any special dispensation, but because those lovely things exist all the time on the side of our dimensionally greater selves, and we're just bringing ourselves into alignment with them. So you see why I talk about there being no need to think in terms of manifesting specific things. You start to immediately express through the movement of emotion. In fact, our lack of anything and any suffering that we go through are the direct consequence of misalignment. So, surprise me, as I've said, is an invocation, but it is a very sweet integration that helps this alignment take place. Let's dive in. Now, with this exercise, if you feel confident and you want to test yourself a bit, you don't need to close your eyes or to be perfectly quiet and still. You can do it while you're engaged in some other enjoyable or relaxing or generally pleasant activity. If you're stressed though, or you're annoyed or angry or preoccupied with something, then the outcome will be infused with that. So do bear that in mind. Being receptive, so being open or slightly aroused, is especially good for this exercise. But if you feel that you'd prefer to be alone and quiet and meditative, that's all perfectly fine. The main thing is to be aware of your emotional state going in. So are you happy, excited, inspired, amorous, and so on? Just be clear about that. The exercise itself takes 2 to 3 minutes with practice and 5 to 10 minutes for a first time try. I personally find doing it early in the morning around 4 a.m., which is the time I wake up, that's great, or in the evening around 6 when I'm feeling restful. But really, any time of day that suits you, any time of day in which you feel restful is perfect. Remember, the moment of singular and focused repose is impenetrable. The other thing to think about is what you're going to use this request for. So it's entirely up to you whether you anchor with something material or something physical, perhaps something in your body, or you anchor with something emotional. Just decide on something before you start. And when I say anchor, I mean the mental thing, the mental image that keeps you connected to the physical environment. So the tangible thing. And then I recommend that you listen to the steps I'm about to go through and then do the exercise afterwards rather than doing by following along. So let's start by deciding what you want to anchor with, and then take a deep relaxing breath. However you want to do that is fine, or you can do it by breathing in through your nose for 4 seconds, holding that breath for 4 seconds, and then breathing out through your mouth for 4 seconds. And you can repeat that a couple of times if you feel you need to. And as you breathe out, let your muscles relax. So if you're doing this while engaged in another activity, switch into soft focus so that you're not looking at anything in particular if it's safe to do so. But from here on, I'll be describing the exercise as though you've got your eyes closed. So with your eyes closed, don't look at the grey behind your eyelids this time, but you're going to look at the middle of your forehead from the inside out. So you're going to see a soft white or a muted pale grey light as you're looking out through the center of your forehead. And try not to move your eyes upwards. So just shift your internal or use your subjective vision to look out through the center of your forehead. The light won't be very bright to start with, but it will intensify. If it doesn't do that the first time you try this exercise, it will do that subsequently. Then, as you're focused on this light, see either by becoming aware of your field of vision expanding, or imagine that you can see, so if you're not able to see it, don't worry, imagine that you can see a yellow light around this central white or pale grey light. It might look like a pulsing column of rings. It may be waves. This will depend on the way your eyes naturally absorb and filter and process light, but the yellow will be moving. So the yellow around a central white or grey will be moving. You may see other colours, reds, oranges, some dark spots. Don't be worried about that. In time, the yellow will stabilise and be the predominant colour. So as you're focusing on this central light with this pulsing yellow light around it, bring your anchoring object to mind and wait until the item, the object or the expression or whatever it is clear to you. So you're going to wait a moment and allow it to fully form. And then you will say, what does this mean to you? Why have you given this to me? Make it visible. Surprise me. Again, the incantation is, what does this mean to you? Why have you given this to me? Make it visible. Surprise me. And do feel free to personalize the language of the first two statements, but be sure to end with make it visible and surprise me. Now, as you're saying these words mentally, you may hear your own voice. Remember, you're not making any audible sound. This is all mental. But as you are saying these words mentally, your voice may sound as if it has an echo or as if it is traveling. That is all good too. If it sounds like it's very close or bouncing off the walls of a chamber, that's fine as well. I do want to mention that human language has an emotional correspondent in the spiritual language of emotion. So when it comes to the statements you make, if you choose to personalize them, they are going to make you feel something. And this feeling is what you are going to communicate. So it's important when tailoring the statements that the feeling you get from your own words is the one you want to communicate. So those are the statements I was given. So when you personalize the language, ensure that the new statements make you feel the same way or very close to how the original statements made you feel. So when you've finished all of that, wait for the response. So you've made your statements, then wait for the response, which will be a physical ripple through your body, either top to bottom or from bottom to top, back to front or front to back, or a pulse or a mild tremor in a localized spot. It will be instant and potentially intense, so please don't move or interfere until this sensation abates. And once it abates, revive yourself by breathing deeply as before, but by adding the R sound as you exhale. And then move your fingers and toes until you feel reconnected with your surroundings. And if you kept your eyes open, close them, rub your hands together and gently press your warmed fingers or palms into your eyes or over your eyes, and then blink a couple of times to re-acclimatize. And that is it. You will feel a tickle or prickle of energy as you emerge from this exercise. You might find yourself smiling or even laughing for a while after, but you don't need to take any further action. You will notice changes in your mood immediately. There'll be an alertness about you and a positivity that will persist throughout the day. And I urge you to put the event out of your mind, because of course you will be waiting for the surprise. And to be clear, if you were using this to manifest something or to bring something physical into your world, it will arrive, but it will be far more than you were expecting. It always works like that. What you receive will always be an enhanced version of what you were expecting, which is useful if you find that you've been nervous about going for great things. And of course, you're free to use this exercise as often as you like, although I don't recommend doing it too often, maybe once or twice a week. As with all of these things, you will reach a point where communication between these aspects of yourself won't require any exercise of any kind. So focus on that more than anything else. I do want to say that my experiences have been varied. I've always received a surge through my body. I have on occasion seen very vivid light. I've also seen my form mentally, and other things have happened which are personal to me, but I will say it's quite a lot energetically. So be prepared for that. If you feel strangely sleepy later on, please do take a nap if you're able to. It's just an adjustment taking place. The exercise is simple, it's straightforward, but it does have an impact on your physical body, and it's important that you respond to that. It's all good, but it's important, as I say, that you respond to that. I do hope that you've enjoyed this upload. Please feel free to post comments, to share your experiences, and to ask questions below. This has been an original Kate Jagedi presentation. Until we are together again, stay phenomenally you.